Hey everybody, it's John from aMTBer Products. I'm just getting a cup of coffee right now, and I thought I'd just for fun Google the word chain waxing. What comes up on Google is Silka's advanced chain waxing system. Okay, we know all about that, how much that costs. And then you have chain waxing services. So places you send your chain in to have them clean it and wax it for you. That's okay. Here we go. Free delivery over $99. So they do it. Oh wait, that's for Silka's product. Okay. Well, we talked about how everybody's trying to make money on this now, and it's really starts out melting candles in a crock pot and then adding some stuff, but it's you can do that yourself. You don't need to spend all this money, but if you want to avoid all of that completely, what I'm talking about is that whole process of removing the chain, which if you're a mountain biker, dangerous, don't do it. I'm telling you right now, don't get in that habit. It's really bad. But the quickest and easiest way to actually wax a chain is to just add the wax to the chain, which is what my product is. Here's the 5311 bottle. This solved all the problems you'll ever run into doing the chain waxing method of crock pots and waiting for crock pots to warm up and cleaning chains and how do we clean this chain and how much money does this cost to do all this. I mean, let's just go over that real quick, okay? You could use gasoline, which I did for years, which I don't recommend at all. But guess what? That's probably the best way to get everything off your chain, soaking it overnight. It's better for the metal than any degreasers. There's no hydrogenization that happens, which is basically exposing your chain in long periods of time to high pH contents from degreasers is not good. I think it has been now proven it's harmful to the chain. And a lot of people are breaking chains and don't know why. And there's a couple things. There's carbonization, there's hydrogenization, and there's oxidation. So these are all things that occur when you're doing sort of the methods that are being promoted throughout YouTube land right now. So, stripping a chain is quite a chore, and there's many ways to do it. They've claimed to come up with some new ways now, but, it really goes back to everything I introduced at Sea Otter. My products were very innovative, and 2 or 3 years ago, I came up with the on-the-bike chain cleaning system that actually converts your factory grease into, well, what's doing two things. It's encapsulating the grease within the chain itself. And it's also whatever left over. It's a paraffin-based grease they use, so whatever is left over is actually utilized in the first ride or two until it completely is. I mean, what I'm saying is the method that I've come up with, in 10 minutes, you're getting rid of 80% plus of that stuff out of your chain. Maybe more like 90, 95. It's hard to say. You have to do it and take chain apart, put in a spectrum analyzer. It'd be a real tough procedure to get a real accurate number. But I can tell that it is almost completely gone, and what's left is encapsulated in the grease, converted into something that will shed away as you ride. And I don't get any shedding on my first ride on a new chain because I do it two times like in the video, and then from there on out your chain is well treated with the product. And if you're using, like, say, Darkmatter, that's what the one we use in the video on an e-bike, you're going to have the smoothest ride from day one with no damage to your chain and no chain wear, no break-in period, none of those things. So yeah, that would be the Darkmatter in the video on an e-bike. That figuring out that process took quite a while. There's quite a few steps involved that got there. I'm just going to here to the website so I get a picture of the product. You can see it's come with the brush from day one. And the reason the brush is there, the reason that brush comes with it is, you need, okay, first of all, you can't compress a liquid. So when you put pressure on a liquid, it has to move, okay? It can't be compressed. So when you just touch this brush to your chain as you're applying it, it's doing a couple of things, okay? It's pushing it into the rollers where it needs to go. It's helping it move around and cycle throughout all the open spaces inside the chain. And it's also creating no waste of the product. The little tip of the brush there is the only thing touching the product. It's not a rag. It's not a rag where it gets absorbed in the rag in all these different spots and you have this very expensive rag by the time you've done it a couple dozen times. What the brush does by cycling the chain and holding the brush on the top of the chain is it's pushing it in and it's not wasting any product. Whatever's left on this brush can be reused. It's reactivated the next time you add more to it. My product is reactivated upon application of new product, meaning it reliquefies itself. None of the other chain loops do that. That's why you have to strip them. That's why when you put something like Squirt on or any other like these dry lubes, they build up and build up and build up. And then you have a hard time actually getting it into the rollers where it needs to be. If it's so built up on the outside, it can actually seal itself out, so to speak. But my product, this product, and all of them reactivate themselves upon application, reliquefy themselves, and that's why the brush works so well. Now, I didn't come up with this brush idea for this product. I actually came up with using a brush for one of my synthetic lubes 20 years ago. At some point along the way, I realized I can just add lube, run a brush on the top of the chain and push it through to the bottom of the chain and then wipe it off, basically self-cleaning. Sort of like each individual chain link becomes like a little Zerk fitting. So you're putting the lube on the top and you're pushing it through to the bottom and the stuff comes out on the bottom. And so using the new lube as the cleaner. That was with my synthetic product, which was basically a Teflon-based alcohol hybrid. It was very interesting stuff, and I don't talk about that much because I don't use it anymore. I don't even have it anymore. I actually threw it all out when I moved. It was in my shed for years, and I wound up throwing it out. But what it was an alcohol hybrid Teflon synthetic lube. So that's where the alcohol actually started. And it was something I came up with based on things I learned basically from painting guitars. And we used a lot of alcohol-based dyes, aniline dyes, and alcohol-based clear finishes. So I realized alcohol was good to use. If I could just figure out how to make it blend with oil and things, it would be great, which I did. And I had a fast-drying oil-based chain lube, Teflon-based, that worked pretty darn well. But I had to clean it initially till I came up with this brush technique. But the problem was that the mileage still wasn't that great. It still attracted so much dirt during the ride that the chain wore itself out too quickly. So I abandoned it for the wax dipping crockpot method. So I did the wax dipping crockpot method for a long time and developed the original formula back there in the white bottle as the topper for it. And then this came out to ditch the crockpot completely, and this was the original the original Lubenschleiden. It's now what we call the bike park formula, and this was the one that eliminated the need for a crockpot completely. And I knew I could get this problem solved at this point, and it really just all went back to probably what I'll title this video is, do you hate your chain lube? And I think most people do. I've heard even girls saying it, that they hate the chain lube part of their bike maintenance. They really hate it. it's so tedious and messy and stuff. And even if you do the wax stuff, now you've got your time consuming process, and it's not safe if you're a mountain biker to take that quick link off. And who wants to buy new quick links? And you're supposed to not even put a new quick link on a new chain, believe it or not, because it's not going to be the same wear rate as the rest of the chain. So there's a bunch of things about it that are not good idea if you're a mountain biker. A lot of road bike guys don't seem to care. I've never lost a chain on a road bike because of a quick link failing. But again, do you really want the hardest working part of your bike to become so easily disassembled with your fingers? I mean, I got it to the point where I could take the quick link apart with my fingers. That's how loose they would get. So do you really want to go on your 100-mile ride with a link like that? Anything can happen, and something like that. And most roadies don't carry extra links, quick links with them either. So that's a quick story of how the brush got involved into it, which is now turned into the three-headed brush here. We have this one on the site here. So this really helps hold the chain steady while you apply it, and doesn't matter what gear you're in. If you're cross-chained or whatnot, it keeps the chain from falling off or whatever while you're doing it. Because a regular toothbrush is hard to do the sides. By putting pressure on the side of the chain. So this is under all products. When you go to the site, just looked at all products there. These are all featured products at the beginning, and then all products. You click on the link for that, it gets you to the brush page. So it's got a nice little bend in it there to where you can get it on the chain, and your hand is out of the way. So the chain passes through the head there. Okay. But this was probably one of the best things I came up with, and I said it goes back to the synthetic that it created, to not have to use a rag, and it really did push the dirt through, which it may be doing that as well. Nothing sticks to the chain lubes. They repel the dust. They even have that on the Clean Lube formula here. Repels the dust. So the dust doesn't stick to the chain anymore. So the brush isn't so much for pushing dirt through like it was on my synthetic. It's more now for just applying it evenly throughout the inside of the chain and leaving a nice finish on the outside of the chain. Just leaves a very small amount when you get good at it. And you can clean the brush afterwards or not. I just leave it on the brush. I'll take the little paintbrush that comes with the other one and maybe clean up anything that's left, put it in the bristles for next time. Because if it's anything dripped on the outside. Now, I'm getting really good at it where I don't waste a drop. I don't waste a single drop. It's just I put on a little bit at a time until I know there's enough on the chain and work it in. And there's really not much left on the brush other than what's in the bristles. So it's something that you have to, over time you'll get good at it. But again, I looked at the title of what I was going to call the next video. Do you hate your chain lube? And all of these things I've come up with is because I couldn't stand it anymore. How tedious and messy and everything. It was too much. And when you started, it was hard enough on a regular day. But once I started structured training 5 days a week, I was beat after each ride. I mean, I was legs up for hours and just, and you're sitting there going, well, I got to go out and fix my bike for tomorrow. I certainly don't want to do it before the ride. So, I at some point I had to get up and spend time fixing the bike up for the next day and getting the chain ready to not go through a chain a month. And even with me being on top of the chain maintenance, I was still burning through a brand new chain every 6 or 7 weeks, something like crazy like that. And I was going through 3 cassettes a year. So within a matter of a month and a half, I was at like 60%. I was beyond the chain wear, So anyway, I went to wax on the road bikes, and it became time consuming in a whole nother way of stripping the chain, maintaining the chain. The Top Out formula solved all of that nonsense. I actually rode the road bike for a little while with my synthetic blend, okay, and I was not getting good enough chain life, so I went to wax with that as well. I actually went to wax first on the mountain bikes. I have a video of me out in the trail with so much sand on my chain on my Canfield 1 back in the day. I had to stop at a stream and get the sand. It was just grinding my chain rings and cassette. It was horrifying. The sand got on the chain with the water, with the oil-based, formula, and it was just the most horrific sound I ever heard. So I went to wax based on that ride. Basically, that was quite a while ago. I still have that bike. It's one of my test bikes. So all of this was what led up to figuring out how to eventually ditch this crockpot. Here's the video. This is on my cleanbikechain.com channel. It's a different channel. It's a newer channel with an easier name to say. So it's cleanbikechain.com. I believe that's the YouTube name. But anyway, everything that's on there is going to be on the site, the A Mountain Biker site anyway. But let's take a look here real quick. I'm sitting here at my little shipping area. These are the two brushes I have right now. Right now, these are the ones on the site. These are the ones when they're in stock. You get these, and I'm going to put up the alternate one when I run it. These ones take a long time to get, and I've got hundreds of these right now. So let me tell you the difference between the two. Okay, this one here is the one that has a really nice bend in it. And I've just, the way, I only got one hand here, but this here, if it gets a little too loose, I put this zip tie on here now on each one and cut it flush. And basically it's like a tensioner. So you can put it on your chain and put the tension where you need it to keep the two outside bristles tight against the chain where you feel it's working most effectively. And so this is the one I'm going to try to keep in stock. And then these are ones I actually got I got these as a giveaway when I do my demos. But when I run out of these, you might get one of these. I will definitely let you know when they're out of stock. So if you see it's out of stock and your order becomes back ordered, I'm just going to send you this one, and it's just as good. This one actually has the perfect tension, especially for cleaning. Meaning if you put the Smooth Lube Original on and want to clean the outside of your chain, just run it around. This is really good for that. I think it works a little better for the cleaning of the outside of the chain than this one. This one's got some long bristles on the end for really pushing it into the links. And my camera timed out there. So it's a little different. But anyway, I'm going to probably put a separate site up for the blue brush, which the next batches will probably be yellow and black. It's the same one. Okay, but those are the two. So you can see I'm just having some coffee here. And I thought I'd show you guys the two different brushes so you know. And a little explanation of how this all developed. So the brush that comes with every bottle, this is meant to just hold it on the top of your chain with a little bit of pressure to push the chain lube into the bristles as you turn the cranks. So you would do it towards the cassette is a good spot to do it. Depends if you're left or right-handed. But you can find a spot where you can just push it on the top links, and it'll push it into the rollers. And then, like I said, these ones help clean up the sides along the way. They do a quicker, better job than this. This might take an extra 30 seconds to use a regular brush, and but you can use this to help clean up this brush when you've got some buildup in spots you don't want. Just put it back in the bristles or put it back in the bottle. You can't hurt this stuff. And the camera keeps timing out. So, somebody had a question about the name of the product, and I want to clear that up. Originally, we called it Uber Lube here, okay? So that's what we were going to call it. This one with the gold label is now called the Uber Clear. So I put a sticker on the top there until we get new labels, and we'll retitle them. It'll eventually say Uber Clear right there, but right now I'm going to use the thousands of labels we have. I don't like throwing those things out. They're very expensive, and we're going to do a barcode change on Darkmatter as well. So all these little changes are expensive to do, and we're going to use up the labels we have now. So this is the Uber Clear, and then this is the original Bike Park formula, the black and white label here. So just so you know, it's still good. People were using this on e-bikes, which I was just like, oh wow, I need to come up with an e-bike formula now. I want them to get through. I mean, how long does an e-bike battery last? 60 miles? So I wanted to make sure that their bike was over-lubed for the length of their battery and even into the second battery if they carry an extra one with them. So the Darkmatter is definitely formulated for e-bikes, that is. The Darkmatter is the one that the Loam Wolf did their video on. They got quite a few views on it. Well, they had 2,000 in the first 7 hours, but they got about 8,000 views on this video they did about my product. So if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description. And that's the Darkmatter. Again, as you can see, it's called Uber Lube here. So it was going to be Uber Lube Red and Uber Lube Gold, but now we're going with Darkmatter, where I put the label Darkmatter at the top there. So yeah, Uber Lube Red, Uber Lube Gold. You can still call it that if you want. And that's Darkmatter and Uber Clear now. So this is the 10-minute conversion to a wax drivetrain video we did a few years ago now, and this really covers all the steps you'll ever need to know. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well, along with the Loam Wolf video. I think this is the simplest, quickest, easiest way to get a superior drivetrain to anything else you've ever used, including your crockpot formulas. I think my 5311 outperforms them for the real world. In a laboratory, their results are one thing, but in the real world, what I'm hearing, they don't, people aren't going hundreds and hundreds of miles on an application of that stuff. If that was the truth, why do they even have a top-off formula? That's a simple question. If your stuff is so good and lasts 2,000 miles or 22,000 kilometers, why do you have a top-off formula? Huh? They do themselves in with their own words. They really do. So, our top-off formula is now our chain prep formula. It's been modified 3 times throughout the years. And I think it's really good for an all-purpose around the house lube, too. So, this video link will be in the description. This video is probably going to be titled, Do You Hate Your Chain Lube? And I certainly did. And 10 years later, this is what we have. The competition's still trying to catch up. And it's not just my opinion. I can see it in what they're marketing. Their stuff is 10 years behind me. The stuff they've got now, I came up with it 10 years ago. More than that, 12 years ago, with my crockpot formulas. So they didn't even have these products on the market in 2020. They didn't have them on the market in 2019 when I did Sea Otter. And everybody's playing catch up. I'm just a little guy with a little website and a little YouTube channel, but I've got the best product in the world. And you'll find that out by using it once. All right, check out the website, aMTBer.com. And also cleanbikechain.com, get you there. But we'll talk again soon. Just wanted to put something out there. Helps with the algorithm to keep steady flow of content going. Unfortunately, you got to just be on top. This is the new way to do things. I did trade shows for 25 years, and this is how you do it now. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for trying the product. Leave a comment if you've got experience using my product and how much better you think it is than the rest. And if you got, any questions, please give me an email, aMountainbikerproducts@gmail.com. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.